We are Gold Ivy.
Our mission is to empower you to own and unleash your truth.
Stories of resiliency are gold, and ivy grows in hard places.
Those hard places are what create space for light to shine through.
You decide what works for your daily life and how to transform our lessons into your gold.
This is Ivy Unleashed,
a Gold Ivy production. Brooke, what do you think everyone wants more of?
Energy.
What do you think most people are hoping to come out of 2023 with?
Feel more confident, be an example for others, actually have the self-discipline to take care of themselves.
Yes, exactly. Because we hear the need for it and we want to help you get in the best shape of your life, we created Move with Gold Ivy, our virtual workout platform.
Our dream has been to create accessible, affordable, and effective workouts that you can do anytime, anywhere, designed to hold you accountable and get you the results you need.
You can pick any workout you want at any time, but if you do want a plan that alternates muscle groups and leaves your body feeling energized and strong, we have a weekly plan that you can follow to take the guesswork out.
It's easy to navigate and packed with all kinds of workouts that will help you strengthen, trim, pump up, tone, energize, de-stress, all of the things we want our body to feel. It's within Move.
Don't forget to mention the resources we offer. As a member of Move with Gold Ivy, you'll be a part of our exclusive Ivy League community, where we share our top wellness resources on things like meal planning, gut health hacks, time management, and more.
And because you listen to the Ivy Unleashed podcast, we want to offer you all of this for only $20 a month, cheaper than any monthly membership you'll find.
Not only that, you'll get a free trial week to test it out.
And if you need more incentive to start prioritizing you, here's our favorite part. Your movement matters. Each month, 10% of your membership will be donated to support the mental health of those in need.
So head on over to goldivyhealthco.com/move or find the link within the show notes of this episode and sign up today. Stop putting yourself in the back burner. Snag your spot and reap the benefits that you deserve to feel this year.
It's your time. Move for your health, move for your confidence, move for your mental clarity, move with Gold Ivy.
Welcome back to Ivy Unleashed. Thank you for being with us today. We are really excited because the guest we have today is someone that we know through someone we love. We had on Megs Pulvamacher for episodes 102 and 103, and she raved about Andrea Parker, her coach. So welcome, Andrea, to Ivy Unleashed.
I'm so excited to do this. And since talking to Meg, she's really shared so much awesome things. So I'm happy to be here.
Y'all listening are in for a treat. Before our guests come on, we do our research. We like to learn as much as possible. And we've got a human potential coach with us today. And for our listeners, you're probably wondering, what does that mean? And we're going to get into it and we're going to blow your mind. Andrew, we would love for you to just share with us and our listeners a little bit about who you are, your personal story, and what brought you to coaching.
Yeah, so I'm actually a former police detective. So a lot of people are probably wondering how those two things go together. How are you a police detective and now you're a human potential coach? And it's actually a big piece of what I do, and a big part of how I live my life is through my heart. And it's funny because I actually spent most of my life doing the exact opposite of that. Like, even if we go back to since I was young, I became the people pleaser, the overachiever, the perfectionist. I had to be the very best at everything that I did. It's like, if I'm not the best, what's the point of even doing it? Like, it ticked all the boxes. And that kind of poured into my career. So I graduated at the top of my police recruit class. I was valedictorian. I accelerated and moved through the ranks quicker than any of my peers. I even jumped a whole pay grade by a year, which is like not even a thing in policing. So like from the outside, it's like, it looked like I was playing at the top of my game. I had a successful career, earning over 6 figures. I have income properties, beautiful home, a loving relationship with my partner, Mel. I had good health. But if I were to be honest with myself, like on the inside, it still felt like this life I had created wasn't enough. And it felt like I wasn't enough. I'd done all these things. I'm taking all this action, all these shoulds to be successful. I still felt like shit. Like, I felt depleted. I felt overwhelmed. I felt anxious. I felt so frustrated at myself. And I felt like a loser, being like, I could see these other people who seemingly figured it out. yet I hadn't actualized my true dream yet. And it had always been a dream of mine to live on a lake, to co-create this fun, playful life alongside Mel. We wanted to have a business together. We wanted to get paid to do what we loved, to have more fun. So there's clearly this massive disconnect between this life I desire and this life I'm living. And I tried everything, like all the books, seminars, courses. I've invested in all the personal development, done all the things, and yet the thing was still missing. But I had no idea what that was. So if I were to fast forward, it was a specific day where I figured out what that thing was. And it was Thursday, May 11th, 2017. And I came back from a run, and it was a common thing for me, but this time I felt this weird feeling in my body. And I knew something was off, so I called my doctor, which I never do. And they're like, why don't you go to the nearest walk-in clinic? So I'm driving there, and then things escalated quickly. Like my heart's racing, my palms are sweating. I can feel like this really sharp, excruciating pain in my stomach. And I was having a full-blown anaphylactic reaction. And the reason I knew this is because I had my first one about a month prior. Landed in the hospital, proud new owner of a super cool EpiPen. And this time it was different though, because the first time I had experienced these outer symptoms, whereas this time it felt like it was literally killing me from the inside out. So I could feel my organs were inflaming. I could feel that as they expand, I was getting dizzy. So I'm like, okay, I need to do something quickly. So I grabbed the EpiPen, stabbed myself in the leg. Like, don't do this while driving, first of all.
Wait, you were on the road driving when you stabbed yourself?
I am driving in rush hour traffic.
Were you like, it's getting so bad, I have to do it this second?
Like, I knew. It's like, if I don't do it right now, like, at this point, it was like, I don't even know if I'm going to make it to the walk-in clinic. Like, it was so bad. And the road, there's only one road leading there. It's like 5 minutes still away. And it's like, I'm a police officer. So I'm used to like, let's just pass it. I'm like, okay, I can't do that. And it was this aha moment, or not even aha moment. It was more like a punch in the teeth moment, where it was just this realization that even though I had been doing all of these things to create this life that I had desired, I was still missing the point. I wasn't actually fully living. And I realized I wasn't fully loving, and I definitely wasn't living from my heart. So it was then that I realized, I was like, fuck, I've been missing the point. So I mustered up every ounce of courage, adrenaline, energy at this point. And it's like, okay, fear is no longer an option at this point. I prayed. So I prayed to my angels, guides, the universe, whoever would listen. And I promised myself, if I lived, that I was willing to do whatever it took to live a life from my heart. And that's basically what gave me the focus, the energy, the willpower to make it there. So I'm driving, I wheel into the walk-in clinic. It's in Walmart of all places. So if anyone knows me, you know that I'm on the verge of dying for me to actually go to a Walmart. Never mind in rush hour. And if you've ever been to a Walmart, you probably also know like the sense of impending doom I'm feeling with this idea of, where am I going to park? It's like, at this point, I might as well just wheel up, hop the curb, park by the front doors, throw the Walmart greeter my keys as valet. It's like,
why are their parking lots so bad?
It's like people forget to drive. It's like, you're on the street, we're good. We park, we don't know how to drive anymore. So it's like this absolute cluster. For the grace of the universe, I found a spot at the entrance. I get there, and here's a fun fact about walk-in clinics. Despite all logic, they actually don't have EpiPens. Nor do they know what to do when you're like throwing yourself on the counter, like pleading for help. So I could have saved myself this whole fun trip, and I could have just called an ambulance in the first place. But regardless, the ambulance comes, I get a treatment, and within minutes, like I truly started to feel this relief from the inside out. And that was really what sparked this journey from that moment. Like I have been playing all in on doing whatever it takes to live from my heart. And it takes courage. Like it was one baby step at a time that I started to quiet my mind, quiet my fears, start to listen more to what is it that my heart actually wants. And then trusting it. In December 2019, I followed my heart and I left policing. So I left it to pursue coaching full time, even though it made absolutely no sense on paper. I did it, and thank God I did it, because 2 months later, the pandemic hit. And if I didn't leave, I would have been put back on the road. I would have been stuck in a job that I hated. But instead, I actually got to have the freedom to not only do what I want, but to expand. So I went all in on my business, all in on creating this dream life. And then February 2021, we followed our hearts again. We bought our dream house on the lake, which, talk about next level courage and trust. It's like, try renovating a home, the full house, in a month and a half, in a lockdown, with hopes that you're going to have it completed so that you can then get approved for a mortgage. But we did it. And now I can truly say that when you live from your heart, it might not make sense on paper, but it is the safest, most efficient way to do it. And now I do get the sense that it's like, that is true success. Like, I have a beautiful house now on the lake. I get to co-create the business. I get to just spend playful, fun times with Mel. Like, I actually get to dream my life, or dream the life. I get to play it. I get to play the life that I want to play. And the cool part is, I also know it's just the beginning. So I guess the story that I wanted to share is like, there's no way I would have been able to connect those dots from when I was young and I was trying to figure out what the dream on my heart was, to now actually being able to live it. And the truth is, it was the heart path that led me there.
Yeah, it sounds like a kiss of death, or a kiss with death, I should say, right, is what allowed you to almost give yourself permission of, life is too short, I got to do something. And I'm sure people listening right now are like, that sounds great, but let's talk about how you actually did that. You know, because it is scary. There is fear. It does take a lot of courage. And there's 2 years, I heard you say, from 2017 to 2019 when you actually left policing. So what did that look like? Actually having the courage to leave.
It's simple, right? Like, doing it is actually really simple. You just admit what you want, you get into action, you do your thing. But in reality, it's not that easy. And the 2 years between I left, and even since leaving and now, it's like, what I did is, first of all, I had to actually commit. So before, I was still doing things, but I had like 1 foot in and 1 foot out. The biggest thing that happened in that moment, from that moment, is I had to jump in with both feet.
What are the odds that we're having this conversation right now? We were literally just talking about this in my kitchen. And I need you to keep going. But we are totally in that boat where it's 1 foot in and 1 foot out.
It's like you said earlier, right? On paper, it makes no sense, but in your heart, it's like, it's a no-brainer. But actually getting both feet out and in where you want them to be.
Totally different game, right? Because when you're 2 feet in, and it has to be, if you're 60%, if you're 70%, 80, 90, it's not going to work. It has to be both feet in. If it's 1 foot in, 1 foot out, it's not going to work. So how then do you actually jump in with both feet? So for me, part of it, and at this point, like, remember, this was personal development at this point wasn't new to me. I was already taking action. I already had a mentor. I already had a coach. But what it did was, this level of commitment then allowed me to actually take the steps that would move it forward, to actually allow it in, to actually give it to myself. It's almost like it became this narrow path where, yes, there's still distractions, and most of the distractions, like, the only thing really holding us back from our dreams is fear. That's the only thing. So what I did is I almost kind of sort of just went tunnel vision on what is the thing that I want to create, and went all in on creating it. And it was one baby step at a time. So it wasn't this like, and there are 2 years between when I had this and when I left policing. Like, it wasn't all or nothing. It wasn't, okay, see you later, I'm going to now leave policing and I'm going to just go straight into coaching. I'm a firm believer in, don't leave something out of desperation. If you're going to leave something, leave it out of inspiration. And for me, it was actually harder for me to stay in policing and to slowly build it out because it forced me to have to do my inner work. It forced me to have to face myself more, to go slower than I felt comfortable going, to find gratitude in what I was doing, to find the perfection in what I was currently doing, so that then when I left, I didn't recreate that in the next thing that I was doing. So part of it was I had to get super clear. I had to admit, like, what is the thing that I want to go all in on? Or what is the thing I want to jump in on? And for me, that was my coaching business and the lifestyle piece. Those are the ones that I really, and the lifestyle was more working less while having a greater impact and getting paid more. But that was really the lifestyle piece, and having more fun. Fun's always, if you know Megs, if you listen to her past episodes, you know we're all about fun. So that was part of it. I had to admit it. And then it was as simple as, what are the teeny tiny baby action steps that I can take to move it forward? And it sounds so simple, and it is, but fear to me, and it wasn't like, okay, I know in my heart, okay, it's time for me to leave. It was like, I've been working on this for 4 years. And when I walked into the station that day, I didn't plan on quitting. Like, I still had another 2-year financial plan. That was the game plan. When I walked in there, though, something in my heart said, it's time for you to go. And at this point, I was like, well, now I have to go. I don't want to go. That's terrifying. But because I've jumped into this work enough, I know one of the rules of the game is, if you challenge yourself to do what's good for your heart, you're going to be supported. But if you stay in your comfort zone, you expect things to be easy, if you just want things to kind of happen for you, you're just reacting to life, then you attract challenge. So I knew if I challenged myself, because I knew it was a heart-centered thing to do this, even though it made no sense, that it would have been the safest thing for me to do. And it turned out it ended up being that. I just didn't know that at the time.
It sounds backwards, right? Because it's like you're making this jump, but you're going to be supported. You're facing this fear, but there's going to be support, versus you're playing it safe, and then there's going to be more challenges. And I kind of get what you're saying, but can you kind of elaborate more on that and how you feel that you'll be supported following your heart and trusting that?
Because I call this crazy backwards land, because it literally is the opposite of everything that we've been conditioned, that we've been taught, that our logical mind knows to be true. And it's because most of the time we're just reacting, and most of it is through fear. It's not even what we truly want or desire. Whereas the heart, if it's a true heart desire, the reason I say that's safer is because it transcends all space and time. Like, it has infinite wisdom. It is the most efficient, direct route or path to where you want to go. So if we think back to, if you challenge yourself, you'll be supported. So think of the yin and the yang. So you have these two kind of polarities, and they're a pair. You actually need both in order to be whole. So one side, we have challenge. On the other side, you have support. So there's always going to be challenge and support. So for me, I would rather challenge myself to do what's good for my heart and then be supported, rather than just seeking support. And because I just want to stay in this little bubble, then outside challenge comes. And this could look like something simple, like, what's good for my heart? Maybe what's good for my heart is going to bed a little earlier tonight, but maybe my senses wants to stay up later. Well, if you challenge yourself to do what's good for your heart, you go to bed, you're going to wake up and you're going to feel better. Or it could be a bigger one where it's my heart saying leave. Okay, I'm going to trust, I'm going to put the plan in place, and I'm going to leave. And then as a result, the support is, I don't actually have to go back on the road. I don't have to stay in a job that I would have been stuck in, because I wouldn't have been able to commute my pension. I wouldn't have been able to do those things. So when you challenge yourself, things will actually happen for you that wouldn't otherwise happen. It takes next level trust. It takes next level connection. And for me, like this, when I first started, this was the complete opposite of where I was, because I was so used to listening to my fear. And those are the two ways we live. We either live from our heart or we live from fear. So we're like, how do we even know it's our heart speaking? Because it's like, what if it's just your fear or ego? And it's like, how do you know it's your heart? That was me anyways. It was like, how do I know? Well, the simplest way to know is if it's your heart talking, it's going to be quiet. Like, it's hard to hear. But if it's fear, if it's ego, it's fucking loud. And it's in your face and it's like waving and it's distracting you and it's doing all these things. And that's why I said earlier, it's like I had to go slower than I was used to going. I had to become more vulnerable than I'm used to becoming. I had to feel more. And when we challenge ourselves, the challenge, like I'm willing to bet for you two, you're driven. The challenge isn't to do more and push more and be more. The challenge is probably to slow down and to maybe go a little slower, maybe have a little bit more fun with your doing, maybe sink deeper into who you are. It's totally backwards to what it is we think we need to be doing. And often it's because of the fears or the beliefs that we need to be doing it.
Yeah. What keeps coming up for me is trusting that it is going to work out, right? That little nudge, that quiet nudge that we've had to get quiet. We've become meditators and journalers, right? To be able to actually hear what is going on in our heart and listen to that versus the fear. But it's almost right now like you have to believe it before you can see it. And that is the opposite of what we've been told too. So I'd love to get your perspective on that, on how do you have the faith and the trust when it's just this little nudge in your heart and you're like, really? You think that?
This has been a game of mastery level, and I have not mastered this level yet. So I'm still playing in this. I might be just a little further down along, but for me, this is probably one of the most challenging things that I had to go with as well, because often our heart is calling us outside of our comfort zone. Like even when I was younger, when I was 8 years old, I knew that I was gay, but I didn't want to believe or to own that. So it's like, okay, I have this heart desire. I'm not going to trust you. That's not safe. Until eventually I'm like, okay, it's safe. Of course I'm gay. So a lot of the time we have these beliefs that, first of all, if we actually listen to our heart and do what our heart says, we're not going to belong. We're not going to feel safe. Who am I to do this? There's so many beliefs we have around that. A big part of what I do, so this is what I specialize in, is the actual belief part, because you can say you want all these things. Like it's pretty simple to say, like, I want to live an amazing life, but you won't create what you want. You create what you believe. So you won't create what you want, you create what you believe. And often we have no idea what we believe. It's like so many people, me included, have tricked ourselves. We've tricked ourselves into thinking, okay, we're doing all the right things. I know my shit. I'm meditating, I have my journal, I'm taking action. Why is it not happening? Well, it's not happening because your conscious mind, it's like relative to the size of a football. So the conscious mind, the part of you that says, this is what I want, is like the size of a football. Whereas your subconscious mind, the part of you where like 95% of the way you act, your behaviors, your beliefs are stored, that's relative to the size of a football field. So what's going to have a bigger impact, the football or the football field? And that's where it can become frustrating, because we can say what we want all day long, but if our subconscious isn't on board, if it doesn't believe it's going to be safe for us to do it, it's not going to happen. So for me, one of the most game-changing things that I did in that process of actually admitting what I wanted, committing, jumping in, taking the action, and then challenging myself to do the thing, was working on my beliefs as I went through the process. And that's really, I think, one of the most important things that I have done in my journey, but that's also why I got into what I do. So I'm a detective by trade, and through my own journey, I realized that's the missing link. that a lot of us have from actually wanting to connect from our heart is this belief piece. There's something in there that's keeping us from actually allowing ourselves to do that. And it's fear. The belief is the fear. It's not safe for me to do that. So there's certain things you can do to help yourself feel safer, to bypass the fear. And that's why it's fascinating to me. And that's another reason why I kind of got into this whole realm of getting to help people shift from the fear aspect into the heart aspect.
I love that. And there's so much proof that you've helped so many people with that, looking at your work and your testimonials you have from people. And there were so many themes that I noticed in them. And one of them was just like, people are stuck, right? And it's kind of like that point that Brooke and I are talking about, is like 1 foot in and 1 foot out, where I feel like you're the coach people hire when they're stuck. And they're like, I want this big, beautiful life. I know I deserve it. I'm almost there, but like something's keeping me stuck. Would you say it's those limiting beliefs? Like, is that the thing?
Yeah. So if we were to really bring it down to the core basic, that is the thing. That is what's getting people blocked. Because most of the people I work with, they're high performing entrepreneurs, leaders. So they're doing all the things. And yet they still feel like something's missing, or like something's blocking them. So what is the thing blocking them? Blocking them is they need to go deeper into the inner game. They need to go deeper into the beliefs, into themselves. Most of them are experts. They already know what they're doing. They're already good at it. They know business. It's the inner game, and the inner game is the conscious and the subconscious. So yes, those are absolutely the what I specialize in. And you can usually get a sense when you know, okay, I'm on the verge of something. Like, I'm sure you can even feel it like in your body, in your heart. And sometimes it can feel like there's like an actual resistance in your body, like something is blocking it from coming. And it is. It's usually the beliefs. It's not safe for me to do it. I'm taking all this action, yet it's not working. Or I'm getting opposite results, or it's way harder than it needs to be. Those are usually some clues that you have a block.
I love it. I love too thinking about like, what is it that's getting you stuck? So what do you typically hear from people, or what kind of work, what does that look like diving into what those beliefs are and starting to undo them?
One, and I kind of laugh because my clients are often very similar to me, and usually they come and they're very in their mind. They're like, I have it all figured out. And then we go a little bit deeper and they're like, oh, okay, I know nothing at this point. Like, we can't consciously connect the dots. Like, there's no way that you would be able to figure out that the reason you're not jumping in with both feet is because when you're 2 years old, you cried and your mom never came. So then you're like, well, what's the point of even asking for what I want? Because then it hurts too much. It's stuff like that. One of the biggest things when people come to me is they know that they're not playing at their full potential. They're probably 60% in, 70, maybe 80. So usually they're very aware that they're blocked, but they're like, I don't know what it is. And the root of every one of the blocks, and at first people have a really hard time wrapping their head around this because they're like, their ego and their mind's like, I got my shit figured out. The root of every one of these is the belief, the illusion that we're unworthy of love, that we're unworthy, we're not enough, we're unlovable. So try telling a high performing entrepreneur that the reason they're not getting what they want is because of self-worth. At first they're like, no, that's not. I've done all my self-worth piece. And then they do this. They're like, it's totally that. And it's humbling. And at the same time, it's freeing because it's like, oh, it's just an illusion. It's not the truth. It's just a story we created mostly when we were younger. And now it's time to really just release it so that you're not reacting anymore. You're now creating.
I think it takes a certain level of awareness to go there and to believe in, quote unquote, the woo-wooiness, right? For someone listening and thinking of us years ago, it would be like, what are you talking about? Like self-worth and self-love and success and money. Like, how does money come back to self-worth? And so I'm curious what you say to your clients who are like, no, I want to do the work, but like, I don't want to do the woo-woo stuff.
If they say that, then they're not my clients. They're not my. So usually when people come to me, they've done their work. It's very rare that I would have somebody come to me who hasn't done any work. Most likely they've gone to masterminds, they've gone to other coaches, they've gone to courses, seminars, and they're at the point in their journey where they're like, let's go deeper. I am ready. I can feel that it's time for me to go deeper. Sometimes people are like, I'm ready, let's just do the thing. But I would say I'm not for everyone. Like I am for those who are at the space where it feels like it resonates, that they're ready to go deeper into themselves. At the same time, for those who are very, very kind of just opening their eyes to this journey, what I would say is I was the same way. Like that was kind of where I was at. And it's not about, to me, it's about just finding somebody who you resonate with, who you feel like can take you on the journey from where you are to where you want to go. So it doesn't have to be anything elaborate. Like the journey could be, depending on where you want to go, a different path. But for me, the path that I really love playing in the energy of is getting people out of their heads, the logical mind, the fears, the ego, and leading from their heart. Like I had a client, I absolutely love her. When she first came to me, her goal, her intention is, I want to hit 7 figures. It's like, I've been doing all the things. I know exactly what I need to be doing. I feel blocked. Help me with this. I'm like, okay, but you're not going to like what I have to say because you're going to have to be more vulnerable. You have to go deeper within. You're going to have to do these things. It's just like, I'm ready to do it. And to see how much she's transformed, even in the past, I think it's been 3 or 4 months, from her leadership, from basically from the outside to now of a softer approach, a more heart-centered approach. Like her business is earning more, she's working less, she's having more fun. But that happened because she shifted the beliefs from within. So that's what gets me excited. Like when you can see people who want to do it, who are really like inspired to have a great impact. The heart is the way. And it doesn't have to be through business. This could be in your family. Like if you're a mom or whatever the thing is, it doesn't matter what it is. It's just bringing your essence out into the world.
Yeah. And your heart-centered approach, I read up on how you have a 7-step process to confidently thriving personally and professionally. So can you kind of talk about that heart-centered approach, breaking it down and what that 7-step process is like?
It's not even necessarily a step process. It's more like this simultaneous 7 principles is probably be a better way for me to explain it, because this is all going to happen simultaneously and they're all interconnected. So the first one, and I would say the most fundamental one, is heart-centered. Like actually allowing yourself to live from your heart, to shift from just swinging your emotions or thinking in your thoughts to connecting within. And that starts with admitting what you want. Really, truly quieting your mind and admitting, what do you really desire? And then jumping in, going for it, and taking action. So that's the first one. So really this heart-centered approach is admitting what you want, getting into action, being willing to do whatever it takes to make that happen. The second one is gratitude. And gratitude isn't necessarily the surface level gratitude that we're used to. Like, I'm so grateful for the sun and my coffee that someone gave me. It's more like doing the deeper work to find the perfection in the shit storms that you experienced, that you hated, that dragged you through the depths of your soul, or how you can use things to your advantage. Because anything you do not love, you just either you recreate it, you attract it, or you become it. So it's actually such a healing way to get back into your heart is the gratitude piece. The third component is beliefs. So again, you won't create what you want, you create what you believe. So this is where we upgrade our beliefs so that they're actually supportive of, this is what I want, I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to align my true inner belief with what it is that I'm creating. Then we have worthiness. And this is where we almost get to be like our own best friend. Then we shift into love. And this is one of my favorite ones because this is where you make yourself as important. So oftentimes we're good at either putting others ahead of ourselves, or sometimes then we're like, okay, I need a break now. It's just all about me. This is really about having the courage and the love for yourself to put yourself in a way that you're being supported in the equation. You are in the equation. You have a business that loves you back. You have friends that love you back. You have a lifestyle that loves you back. Then, so we have heart-centered, gratitude, beliefs, worthiness, the love piece. Then we look into values. Values are really important because you always put your time and energy towards your top values, but most of us have no idea what our top values actually are. So it's really getting clear on what are our top values and then focusing where our time and energy go, because that's where fulfillment comes. Fulfillment comes from fulfilling, putting energy into the things that are most important to you. So this helps weeds out all the distractions and all the things that aren't really meaningful and important to you. And the last one is inspiration. Because I believe that true success isn't just about having it in one area in your life. Like true success is living from your heart, but it's also about having success in all areas of your life, like seeing how fun it can really get. And then when you get to play in that energy, like life gets to be fun. Because now you have the business success, you have and this and that and the loving relationships with family and the health and nurturing yourself. Like it really does get to be this beautiful, whatever you want to call it, life that you're so in love with, your heaven on earth, the thing that resonates most with you, bringing all those areas up simultaneously.
I love it. And what I also love is it's like you're the director of your life. As you're saying all these different categories, it's like you are getting to map out how you want to live your life, knowing what would my dream life look like. You know, it's like the planning phase that I think excites a lot of us, but then it's the actual doing. Like you mentioned earlier, these small shifts. And so I'm thinking back to when you identify what belief is holding you back, right? I'm not worthy. So let's give people some tangible tips that they've identified these things. That's kind of the first step, right? Is like, what do you want? What's the belief that's holding you back that you don't deserve all of these things? And then what are some of those small things that people can start to do that you did in your journey and you have your clients do?
So this is the part that excites me. So when you're like, okay, so we are the creators, we're the directors of our lives. Yes, we are. Like we actually get to truly create what we want. This is where we have to challenge ourselves a bit because we're responsible for creating this. So if we like what we see, great. But if we don't like what we see, sometimes we're like, oh, shit, because it both falls back on you're responsible for creating it. So what are some simple tools that you could use to help to maybe bypass some of this fear? One of the most simple ones is when you're thinking of the action steps, chunk it into the teeny tiniest baby action steps where it's almost like so simple that you're like, that's too simple. It's like, great, do that. Because if it's too big, so think of rock climbing. If you're rock climbing and all of a sudden you look down, you're like, oh shit, that's terrifying. I'm terrified. I'm not going anywhere. Now I'm paralyzed. I'm stuck here. And this is what happens with so many people. It's like, I have this big dream, and then you look down, guess what's down? Fear. Now you're stuck in fear. Now you're not taking action. You're not going anywhere. And the only way to get off that is looking up at what are the desires, where is it that you're going, what is it that you're creating, and teeny tiny baby action steps as you do it. So you need to, if it was me, and I do this often when because I'm still playing in this arena like this, spoiler alert, this game never ends. Like, it's constantly unfolding. There's no there. You're going to get there, and there's going to be a new desire. And then there's going to be something else that you're scared to do. So it's an unfolding, it's a path. So you might as well have fun with it. But for me, what I find helpful is I actually picture, okay, if I'm in fear right now, okay, I'm looking down. I need to direct where I'm looking. I need to look up. Okay, this is what I want, looking up, focused on what you want, and then chunk it into the smallest, teeny tiny baby, high priority action steps. You need courage. To live a life from your heart requires courage. Like, even the word courage, the root cur means heart. So to courageously live means to live from the heart. So for me, I needed a big enough why, a big enough reason, an important enough reason for me to continue to take action steps, because there's going to be days where you're like, why am I doing this? This is not worth it. This is terrifying. So for me, my big enough reason for continuing to unfold this life is because I want to know that, like, when I take my last breath, whether it's like peacefully in my sleep, or if it's because I went for a jog and had an insane allergic reaction, like, I want to know that I went for it and that I truly lived well. Like, I want to know I lived a life worth living. So having a big enough reason that will help you on the days when you're like, this is scary. Yeah, it's scary, but my reason is bigger than that fear. Because what I know at the end of the day, like, those fears don't even matter. Like, they don't matter. Like, when you take your last breath, or even better yet, when you take your next breath, like today, the only thing that really matters is, did I live well? Did I love well? Was I loved? That's it. So for me, that really keeps me, okay, this is scary, but what's going to be scarier? Not going for it, like knowing I missed the mark and I played it safe. So if you're new on this path, or even if you've been on this path for a while now, reconnecting to, why is this important to you? Why do you even want to do this? And then chunk it into the smallest steps. When fear pops up, fear is going to pop up. That's where you also don't have to do it alone. Like, have tools, have supports, have amazing humans in your life. I did not create this life on my own. I am a huge believer in having teams and having people to help me play better. And it can look like a coach, it can look like a mentor. It doesn't have to look like that, though. Just people in your corner who can see the bigger picture, who can call you out on your bullshit, but who can also support you. Like, that's really what it's about. I actually have one tool that I would love to share with your audience. I used it every single day. I still use it. It's just a simple 5-minute meditation. It's a heart connection meditation. And you can use this anytime you feel fear creep in. I loved using it at the beginning of the day because it really helps you ground and center in. And then for the rest of the day, what are the baby steps I can take?
Wait, so this is a meditation that you like play and it's a guided one, or this is like an exercise that you, like, questions you ask yourself?
Yeah, so this is just a simple 5-minute guided meditation, but at the end, what it's going to do, it's going to give you an experience of what it's like to connect with your heart. And then I'm going to invite you to ask yourself some quality questions. So then when you ask these questions, you can journal it down if you want, you can act on them, you can play with them. It's really important that you do both the listening aspect, like the knowing what you want, the going deeper within, but also the acting. For listeners, even for you, it's important to be aware. Where are you getting stuck? Are you just collecting all this information? Are you just, you know what you want, you're journaling, you know all these things, you're meditating, but you're not really getting into the action? Or maybe you're taking a ton of action, but it's not really rooted in what's most meaningful and important to you. Like, you really need both. That's the secret to really moving it forward with with more love, because it really does get to be a new way.
What I'm hearing you say is like how to get fulfilled, right? It's the listening piece and the doing piece and making sure that what you're doing is aligned with what you really at a core level, at a heart level, want to be doing. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah.
So is this like your website? Is there, like if someone listening is like, hey, I want to do this, I'm going all in. What do they do?
So what I would recommend, start with meditation. So it's on my website. So andreaparkercoaching.com/meditation. We do have some resources. One of the most game-changing things, like if you're like, okay, I want to do the thing, what I would recommend starting with is we do have a workshop. It's called Accelerate Your Growth. It's a 2-day experience. This literally is the thing that changed the way I saw my life and business. This happened at the same time, simultaneously, as I was jumping all in. And what it does, day one, we jump into what are these ceilings we've created? What's this little box that I'm currently living in, where I have one foot in and I kind of have my one toe dipping out. We're going to break through the limitations. And then day two is where we're going to be creators. So this is the part that really lights me up, because day one's going to get you into your heart. Day two is where we're going to create. What is the thing that you actually want to do with your life? What do you want to create with your life? You'll have almost like this blueprint that you can play with. And we just hosted it a couple weeks ago. And one of my favorite things is when people come and they're like, I've been doing personal development for like 10, 15, 20 years, and I didn't even know what that was until I started to do this work. And I can say that confidently because I thought I had done all the work until I actually got into the stuff that we teach and we integrate now. And it truly is, it's not sexy. It's not the flashy work. It's not the surface level stuff. It's just the simple stuff that's going to really get you to create a new perspective, a new way of living and creating your life. So I would say if you're feeling the pull, if you're on the verge of something and you really want to explore a little bit more about the deeper work that we do, I highly, I can't talk enough about this one. Highly recommend that. It's Accelerate Your Growth. We probably have one coming up beginning of May, end of April, somewhere around there. That's on the website as well. But yeah, just take it one baby step at a time.
I love that. And I feel like everything you're saying, it can sound overwhelming, right, to shift your life, but it's actually the most simplest things of thinking about really quieting everything down and just focusing on really what's speaking to you, yourself, and having this life that feels true, like that feels like this is actually what I want. Because so many people, because we're coaches, they have no idea what they want. They have no idea what they even enjoy doing.
They haven't taken the time to think about it. Either they're thinking about everyone else or they don't feel like it's worth their time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are taught and conditioned to think that if you're going to have an awesome life, you've got to work so hard. You've got to work for years and years before you can enjoy it. And so I'm curious your take on that when you think about that idea that you've got to work and sweat and bleed before you can like enjoy this life that you're building.
If I were to say what's the essence of what we do, it's helping people to work less while having a greater impact and more fun. So this is like near and dear to my heart, because this is truly I don't believe that we're here just to come and kill ourselves doing all the things that we should be doing for other people, but also that we should be doing to be successful. Success is living from your heart. And yes, you can pour time and energy into things that are important to you, but often we're doing it because we feel like we have to keep doing and doing and doing in order to then have what we want. Not the truth. And the one client that I mentioned before, she wanted to hit 7 figures. It was actually, she even said, I am doing less now, like truly doing less. She doesn't feel like she's in this state of perpetual urgency that most entrepreneurs feel. She's going slower. but she's actually making more money, like truly making more money. She's on the trajectory of hitting the 7 figures. And why I believe that is the case, like why I believe that we can earn more while working less and having more fun, is because life isn't supposed to be the struggle that we've been conditioned for it to be. But the catch is you have to be willing to let go of this attachment to the struggle, this attachment to it being so hard. Like, as long as we have a story there of I have to work hard to then be successful, or I have to work hard so then I believe that I'm worthy of receiving the money.
Yeah, you've been praised for your struggle. You've been praised for working hard. You've been praised for, those things. And so you are conditioned to think that, well, what if I'm not that? What if I'm not staying up until so-and-so, and I'm working all these hours and people are praising me for the hours I've worked. It's definitely an undoing. And it's great that that's something you provide people to teach them, because it's out of the norm and it can create so much beauty for your life. It's probably really exciting to do those like workshops you do and see what people create. I love seeing that with my own clients, of that, like that aha moment, or that, oh my gosh, like I convince people that they can run marathons all the time. And they do not believe me at all. Most of the time they'll sign up to talk with me to run a half. And then it's like this, it's just a belief, because they created the ceiling that that's all their body's capable of. I'm not saying everybody has to run a marathon, but that happens all the time. The second they even think they believe that they can run a half, they already believe they can run a full. And so it's just the smallest shifts can create such huge transformation.
Yeah, and most people aren't actually scared of failing. It's usually the success piece that gets people hung up. It's like, oh, I can actually have this life. Who am I to have this life? And it creates this whole, that's usually where a lot of us get stuck. So part of it, when you see, like when I get to see people actually doing the stuff from their heart, I think that's why it makes what we do in the story and all the things that we've kind of transcended worth it, because I truly believe that's the most impactful way that we can truly create transformation for ourselves, but for other people. Like, when you see other people truly going for it and living a life from their heart, it's like, that's inspiring. Like, that to me, it's like, oh, I didn't know that was possible. That's possible. I can do that. Yes, you can. We're meant to thrive. As humans, we're not meant to just be here and survive and just try to get by.
It's so true.
And the cool part is your success and my success, they're all different because it's based on what our heart wants. It's like a rose. A rose is here to be a rose. A tulip's here to be a tulip. But all we have to do is just bring our essence out. So whatever it is, so it doesn't matter what your game is that you want to play, or the desire is. It's, are you willing? Do you love yourself enough to bring that essence out? And when you do, everyone just gets to benefit from it.
Do you love yourself enough to bring your essence out? That is powerful. That is the true self-love game that it's people like you and, different podcasts or social media accounts, like, who are you following and what are you consuming and how is it making you feel? Is it inspiring you? Because to your point, Andrea, you watch someone do something amazing and you're like, oh, shit, that is possible. For my healing journey, it was following people who have healed themselves. And I gained the belief of they can do it. That means that it's possible. And if they can do it, I can do it. And if I just follow what they're saying works, but do what feels true to me, I can do this too. And so it's by you sharing your light, whether it's your healing journey, your self-love journey, whatever it may be, you're giving other people permission to do the same. So I just want to use this time to say thank you for the work that you're doing. You are inspiring us. You are setting people free with your work, your words. And we're so grateful that you're here with us today.
Oh, thank you. I honestly, it makes me so grateful. So thank you.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything more beautiful than tuning inward and not being afraid of it, And if you are a little afraid of it, knowing it's okay and that you can do it on your own, in your own little journal. I love it. And I think following someone like you, like Brooke is saying, you're the type of influence that we need more of. We need more people that don't make you feel like you're not enough. Like quit following the washboard abs if it makes you feel like shit. Follow someone that tells you, let's have more fun and work less. And you're worth it, by the way. So where can people find you so they can follow you and get more of your inspiration?
Probably one of the best places would be on Instagram, Andrea Parker Coaching. So I would absolutely love for you to connect with me there and let me know. Like, let me know, especially if you're following me from listening to this. Like, I love truly having a connection. So let me know. And then the best way, if you want to look a little bit deeper into some of the things, is just the website again. So AndreaParkerCoaching.com.
Amazing. And we'll, of course, plug that in our show notes for everyone to have easy access. They can click the link and get more of you, Andrea. We leave our listeners with 3 gold stars. So we would love for you to share your 3 gold stars with us next.
Okay. So my 3 gold stars are going to be all about courageously living from your heart. So in order to do this, you need to first admit. So admit, what is it that you truly desire? Then you're going to commit. You're going to jump in with both feet. So not just one foot in, one foot out. You're going to truly jump in and be willing to at least love yourself enough to give yourself the opportunity to play in that energy. Because when you do, you can't fail. You'll just learn something. And the third one is action. So you're going to admit, commit, and then you're going to get into action and do whatever you can to move this dream forward.
And then when all else fails, start again at the beginning. Just keep doing it.
Pretty much. And then it's a path, right?
Yeah, you can apply to just so many things. Like if you want to change any lifestyle habit or your professional career, or your relationships, I feel like you can use that for anything, which is awesome. All right, the next segment we do is Unleashing Ivy. So getting a little deeper and more about all of this. I feel like I could ask you a million questions, but mine that I'm curious to ask you is when you're starting to like really, you're about to jump, both feet in, you're going for it. How can you be aware that you're self-sabotaging that? Like you're delaying it or you're doing things that are like pausing it or how do you know if you're self-sabotaging, kind of taking that full leap?
3 clues that usually kind of are huge indicators that you are is that you know what you want to be doing or what's good for you to be doing and you're not doing it. So it's like, okay, I want to do the sales page. I want to reach out to that person. I want to run that marathon, whatever the thing is, you know what it is that you want, but you're not actually getting yourself into the actions. And it could even be, you want to admit something and you're not allowing yourself to admit it. That's one. The second one is you are doing it. Like you're actually taking the action, but it can feel like so much resistance. You're going for those runs and the whole time you're like, you're like dragging yourself there. The third one is you're doing it, but you're actually getting the opposite results. So you're moving things along, but the opposite things are actually happening. And one of the biggest indicators that I usually see, especially with my clients, when they're on the verge of something big, like when we're on the verge of like a quantum shift, like a massive shift, we usually retreat and we kind of like stop doing the things that we usually do. And there's clues there. And usually the biggest fear there, it comes back to birth. It's like, okay, if at birth, it's like, how is that even going to be possible? And you feel like you're going to die and your mom's stressed out and you're stressed out. So then it's like, now you're moving to this next level. It's like, you start acting like, I'm going to die. It's like, this is going to be the thing that's going to kill it. It's not. It's so becoming aware, becoming conscious of how you're acting. Are you just reacting or are you consciously choosing how you're showing up?
So powerful. And that leads me perfectly into my question, because I feel like a lot of people who they know what they need to do, right? They want to take the leap. Their heart is telling them, but the financial element of it is what's holding them back. I'm curious what your advice is for those people that are like, I just got to wait a little bit. Because you mentioned earlier, too, with your finances, you had 2 years to go. Yeah. So what would you say to someone who money is the problem?
If we were to really break it down, what it always comes down to, the only thing between us and our dreams is fear. So living the dream is really about mitigating fears. So that's all we really do, is how can you mitigate some of the fears? And some of them are going to be like conscious fears. I know, like, if I leave my job here and I don't have anything else, like, I'm not going to have money. Like, what? That's a legitimate fear. And we also have legitimate subconscious fears. And if the subconscious fear is, well, I don't want to leave this because I don't believe that I'm worthy of actually getting paid to do what I love. Those are two different things. But when it comes down to money, usually it actually has nothing to do with the money. It comes down into the belief in the self. And it comes down to a couple things. So I'm a firm believer in doing things from a loving place. Like, if you want to invest in, like, right now we have applications open for a mastermind, and we wouldn't be doing anybody a service or a favor if we just promoted, just join. If you don't do this, then you're never going to get where you are. Like, that's not the truth. It's like, for some people, it's like, I would rather you go a little bit slower and do something that's within a financial kind of range that feels like it, yes, it's out of your comfort zone, but it's loving. Like, it really is coming back to loving yourself through this process. So sometimes there is that time when you just need to, are you not doing it because of fear? Or are you doing it because you feel like this is the only thing that's going to get you there? It's like, you really need to become aware of, when you're making decisions, are you doing it from inspiration or desperation? And I recommend trying your best to do it from inspiration. And know that I believe that coaching doesn't cost. If you have the right coach, if you have the right program, if you have the right tool, it actually doesn't cost you anything, because you're actually going to save money. You're going to save time. You're going to accelerate your process. But it also has to be the right timing. It has to be the right person, and you have to be committed. If you're not committed, if you have 1 foot in and 1 foot out, you have the best mentor in the world, but they're not going to get you the results.
It's so true.
So what I would recommend is be honest with yourself. Where are you at with your finances, with your commitment level, with your fears? And what is the thing that your heart's saying to do? And if your heart says do it and it's scary, you're going to get supported because you're challenging yourself. But whatever it is, create almost like a landing. What's the worst case scenario? What's the worst case scenario? Could you live with the worst case scenario? Would be the benefits of that worst case scenario happening. And if you can live with it and you can mitigate some of those fears and it feels aligned, go for it. But if you can't live with that worst case scenario, you need to know that.
I love it. I feel like I'm going to listen to this episode like 10 times, because I feel like, as a host of this podcast right now, I'm really quiet because I have so many thoughts going through my mind about everything you're saying, because I can see myself and I'm processing what you're saying real time and what I want out of my life, which I hope all the listeners are too. And I also think, like, oh, that's going to be a journal prompt for me tomorrow. And I can see this would be such a great point for my client. So I feel like I have so much going on in my brain right now from what you're saying. I'm going to listen to this over and over. And it's so powerful. It's your life we're talking about. It is sitting on your deathbed and hoping that you did exactly what Andrea Parker's talking about. You don't want to look back and regret that you didn't live from your heart, and that you didn't say what you wanted, and that you weren't with people that gave a shit about you. Because if you're with someone that doesn't care about what's coming from your heart, then fuck them. Find somebody else to tell your dream to, and then find a new way to be supported, because life is too damn short. And I think the work you're doing and the work that we do is so powerful, and it's just allowing what you're saying into your heart so that you can start living this life in the tiniest steps. So I'm so glad you said that too, because it can feel so big and daunting, but it's really not. It's just you and doing something small from your heart.
Yeah, it's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. And it's worth it. I can say that for sure.
It is. Well, I think what you mentioned earlier too, that you never get there, right? Like you have to experiment and play with it. Like this is your life we're talking about, but don't let yourself think of it as overwhelming. Like come back to what would not make this overwhelming? Is it buying a journal? Is it just grabbing the meditation from Andrea's website? You know, what are those little baby steps that Andrea's talking about where you get that momentum? You can have fun with it and you do want to keep going. All right, our last question, Andrea, is what is one thing you wish you would have known sooner?
It's maybe not even known sooner, but one thing that I wish I had done sooner was just be kinder to myself in the whole process of this. It's like often in this pursuit of living this life we love, we can take ourselves so serious. So I think one thing that I wish that and I'm lucky that at least I'm playing and I'm learning this now, but it's like really enjoying the whole process. I don't have to be the people pleaser, the overachiever anymore. It's not about getting there. It's about, yeah, am I loving well? Am I loving myself well? Am I living well? And am I having fun during that journey? So I think I'm grateful that I learned that, and absolutely wish I knew that when I was younger.
Oh, well, we're grateful for you. It was so nice to meet you. I feel like we could talk to you for another 7 hours because you're just a wealth of knowledge. And so I just hope everybody follows you to get more insight into who you are, your story, the work you do. It's amazing. I just have a feeling that this is not the end of our relationship chatting with each other. But we do end every episode with a piece of gold. Would you please share your piece of gold?
What I would love to share is that the safest, the most efficient, direct route to you living the life that you love, having the impact that you're meant for, is to have the courage to live from your heart.
This is Gold Ivy signing off.
Listen to your truth and go chase your gold.